All right, this is the Sam Sorbo Show. Welcome back. And my guest who's joining me is Alexandra Belair. I had her on the show a while ago. She's a free speech activist who failed to get a permit to hold an equal opportunity blasphemy event on Canada's Parliament Hill on International Draw Muhammad Day last year. But this year, she succeeded in holding a free speech wall event there on the International Draw Muhammad Day this year. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a misnomer to call it a free speech wall event, right?
Well, it is, because we were allowed to have a free speech wall as long as we didn't have any type of structure for drawing or writing purposes. And we were allowed to put anything at all we wanted, that as long as it wasn't obscene or offensive or might possibly promote hatred.
So it was a wall of soft noise.
Well, what we ended up doing is we ended up getting a number of volunteers, and each of us held a sign, the maximum size allowed, which is 16 by 24 inches. And we made a wall of each one of us holding the sign so people could come. And they did. It was wonderful. We actually had a great turnout. And because it was International Draw Muhammad Day, we did include pictures of Muhammad. But because they weren't allowed to be obscene, offensive, or promoted hatred, we actually used printed out copies of original paintings of Muhammad done by Islamic artists in the Muslim world. So it was done by Muslims of Muhammad with his face showing. Therefore, it couldn't possibly be offensive to Muslims, right?
Well, I found it offensive. I don't know if that got across to you, but I was extraordinarily offended and hateful.
I am so very sorry. I am so very, very sorry. You know, I am a Canadian. Yesterday, my dog barked at my neighbor.
I find that offensive.
To me.
Sorry, you were saying your neighbors apologized?
For my dog barking at them, yes. We're Canadian. It's our nature.
We're making fun of this, but it's not actually that funny. Because there is no freedom of speech if there is some sort of governing body that determines what is sort of acceptable, what is hateful, what is provocative, right?
Well, the worst part about it is that we're not allowed to know what that is. We don't know who's going to make that call. It could be the cop on the spot. It could be a judge. It could be a human rights commission where such rules of evidence that most courts accept, such as it actually truth being a defense, don't work. So we don't know who's going to determine what is offensive or obscene or potentially promoting hatred, and therefore we are afraid to speak. We censor ourselves, and this is terribly dangerous. Now, I'm not sure if you've been following this, but in England, over the last decades, thousands of little girls have been raped because people were too afraid of being called racist and perhaps maybe offending someone if they admitted that there were these Muslim rape gangs that were raping and turning little girls into sex slaves in England. And there's a book out about it, Easy Meat, and it's because people were afraid to accuse Muslims of a crime that they self-censored, that they were afraid to lay charges and uphold the rule of law, that thousands of little children have been victimized and scarred for life. This is not something we can take lightly.
Right. I think you're talking about the Rotherham. However you say that.
It is indeed. Rotherham is one of the places that was made an example of, but this is endemic to all parts of England.
Let's not delude ourselves that it's just there, and you address it there, and it's fine.
Recently, there was a case in Vancouver, Canada, that this was found. I mean,
but Alexandra, that's their culture. You have no right to criticize their culture, right?
Well, my culture is to speak freely. Thank you very much. But of course,
your culture is to uphold the rights of small children.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, why care about little children if we can care more about people who want to oppress the rest of us, right?
That is the problem that we face.
Freedom of speech is necessary.
Right.
You must never fall into the trap of self-censoring, because it is the only peaceful way which we have to protect every other aspect of ourselves, right?
Okay, explain that.
Well, if we are not allowed to speak about injustices that are happening, and our police and officials who are supposed to uphold the rule of law fail to do so, the only way to protect ourselves physically is to take up arms. And that is not something I want. I do not like violence. Since I am not pro-violence, I have to be pro-freedom of speech. As long as we can tell people what's happening, we can gather support, lobby politicians, and so on, right? But if we're not allowed to speak about what is happening, if we are afraid to say the truth, then we cannot possibly protect ourselves or defend our other freedoms, such as property rights, rights to life and liberty and pursuit of happiness. Outdated notions like that.
Outdated. They're timeless notions.
That constitutions evolve, and a lot of the things that are in it are outdated and no longer applicable in the modern world. Where did I hear that? Oh, gee, that was Obama, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And now we have a socialist running. Of course, you guys elected Justin Bieber.
Oh,
who did you elect?
He's an intersectional feminist. I get a toothache just saying his name.
You get a toothache saying his name? That's clever.
Oh, God.
Why did he cut his hair? He was so attractive with the long hair. Then he cut his hair, and it's like, ew, what did we elect? What was that about?
Yeah, no longer the shiny pony. But,
oh, my gosh.
This is a guy that says all the postmodern things, right? And yet, when a vote in the parliament that he wants to get through is delayed, he barges through a group of members of parliament, grabs one by the elbow, and drags him off to his seat to go do the voting, and in the process, elbows a tiny little woman in the chest, and that's okay, because, well, he's just trying to get parliamentary work done.
Wow. So he's a bully.
He's not afraid to assault people. He's the very first prime minister ever to commit assault on the floor of the House of Commons. And yet, everybody's like, oh, but he's a feminist. Oh, sorry. My teeth hurt.
Your teeth hurt. Well, you haven't even said his name yet, but that's okay. We don't need to name. He shall be the one that has no name. Isn't that like a Harry Potter reference?
Yes, he who must not be named. That's right.
Let's call him Voldemort.
Shouldn't we self-censor saying that name?
Yeah, but that's what we've come to. Okay, so you had your event. You had a nice turnout.
I had my event.
People drew things.
People talked. People drew pictures. We had everyone from Christians to Muslims to atheists to every other group you can think of come by and have their say. And I think that was wonderful and successful. And I think we have to keep doing this, because if we don't exercise our freedoms, we'll lose them. Last year when I was trying to hold this, our CMP officer, who is in charge of security on Parliament Hill, when we were talking about the event, pointed to a random person on the hill and said, do you think your right to exercise your freedom of speech is more important than that child's life? What if somebody comes and kills them by accident instead of you because you want to exercise it? But wait a minute.
Wow.
We had people lie down their lives to protect our freedom of speech. Of course it is more valuable.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Alexandra. It's great to catch up with you, Alexandra Belair from Canada, from the great foreign country, Canada. Okay, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about science. They've done the science now. There are certain things that successful kids have in common.